All right, get ready because today we're diving deep into the world of linguistics.
Sounds exciting.
You know, when you hear the word linguist, you might think of someone who just speaks a bunch of languages.
Right, like a walking dictionary or something.
Exactly. But after digging into the stuff you sent over, I'm realizing it's so much more than that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole field of study. Really fascinating stuff.
It's like, yeah, language is cool and all, but linguists are like detectives figuring out the how and why behind it all.
That's a great way to put it. They're interested in the structure of language, how it evolves over time, how it varies across different cultures.
It's like they're cracking a code that most of us don't even realize exists.
And that code, it unlocks so much about what makes us human, how we think, how we communicate.
Okay, you're making me feel like I need to go back to school.
Uh-huh. Well, it's never too late to learn.
True. But seriously, one of the things that blew my mind was the sheer range of what linguists actually do.
Right. It's not just about studying grammar rules in a textbook.
No, not at all. We're talking about deciphering ancient languages, building AI that can understand us.
Even analyzing language in criminal investigations.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, forensic linguistics. It's a real thing.
Okay, now that's just plain cool. So we're talking about a field that's both incredibly ancient and like on the cutting edge of technology all at once.
Exactly. It's about understanding the past, present, and future of human communication.
I'm officially intrigued. You know, one of the things I found really interesting in all this is how many different ways you can actually be a linguist. Like, it's not one size fits all, right?
Absolutely not. It's such a broad field. You could specialize in a particular language family, like Indo-European languages, or maybe even something more specific, like Bantu
For
languages.
now, yeah. I never thought about that. Focusing on a whole family of languages, that's got to be a massive undertaking.
Oh, it definitely can be. You're talking about tracing the history, evolution, and relationships between potentially dozens, even hundreds of languages.
That's incredible. But then some linguists focus on something totally different, like you were saying, computational linguistics.
Right. That's a really exciting area, especially now with AI becoming so prevalent. Computational linguistics is all about the intersection of language and computer science.
So, like, building those AI assistants everyone's using these days.
Exactly. Things like natural language processing, machine translation, even speech recognition software. All of that falls under computational linguistics.
See, that's what I mean. You could be deciphering ancient texts one day and then designing the next generation of chatbots the next.
Exactly. And it just goes to show how relevant linguistics is in today's world. It's not just an academic pursuit. It has real-world applications.
Okay, speaking of real-world applications, this one might be my favorite forensic
Ah,
linguistics.
yes. Like we touched on earlier, it's like being a language detective in the legal world.
I read about a case where they used linguistic analysis to help figure out if someone was actually the author of a ransom note.
That's a pretty common application. Forensic linguists can analyze things like handwriting, vocabulary choice, grammatical structures to try and determine authorship, or even if someone's trying to disguise their writing style.
It's amazing how much our language can reveal about us, even when we're trying to hide it. So let's say someone's listening to this right now and they're thinking, okay, I'm convinced I want to be a language detective. Where do I even begin? What advice would you give them?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say focus on building a solid foundation in linguistics. That usually means pursuing a degree in the field.
Okay, makes sense. So is that the only path? Does it have to be a linguistics degree specifically?
It's certainly the most direct route, but it's not the only one. A lot of people come to linguistics from other fields like anthropology, psychology, or even computer science. So don't feel like you're boxed in if you've already started down a different academic path.
So it's more about the passion for language itself, that drive to really understand how it works.
Absolutely. Because linguistics is a challenging field, there's no denying that. It requires a lot of dedication, a lot of analytical thinking.
So someone who loves puzzles, loves a good challenge, they'd probably thrive in this kind of environment.
Absolutely. Someone who enjoys digging for clues, looking for patterns, and isn't afraid of a little ambiguity now and then would do well in this field.
And I imagine being a strong communicator yourself doesn't hurt, right?
Definitely not. Being able to articulate your findings clearly, whether it's through writing or presentations, is crucial.
That makes sense. So you've got the academic side, but then there's the whole professional development piece too, right? Like, how do you actually break into this field and find your place in the world of linguistics?
Networking is key, just like in any field. Attend conferences, join professional organizations, connect with other linguists online. Those connections can be invaluable.
So find your tribe, basically. Those fellow word nerds who get just as excited about language as you do.
Exactly. Because when you're passionate about something, surrounding yourself with like-minded people can make all the difference.
It's like having your own personal language squad, cheering you on and geeking out with you over the latest linguistic discovery. But let's be real, it's not always easy breaking into any specialized field, especially one like linguistics, which maybe isn't as widely understood as, say, engineering or medicine. What would you say to someone who's feeling a little intimidated by that, maybe even discouraged?
Yeah, it's that whole imposter syndrome thing, right? Feeling like you don't quite belong or you're not qualified enough.
Oh, I think everyone feels that way at some point, especially in a field as specialized as this. But I'd say don't let it paralyze you. Use it as fuel.
Okay, I like that. Turn that self-doubt into motivation.
Exactly. Channel that energy into learning everything you can, developing your skills, and seeking out mentors who can guide you along the way. And remember, even the most accomplished linguists were once just starting out, full of questions and uncertainties. It's about the journey, right? Like, embrace the fact that you don't have all the answers, that there's always more to learn.
Absolutely. Because linguistics is a field of constant discovery. New languages are being studied, new technologies are being developed, and our understanding of how language works is always evolving.
So it's okay to be a little intimidated, maybe even a little lost at times. It's part of the process.
Exactly. The key is to stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop asking questions. And remember, the beauty of language is that it's all around us.
It's true. It's in our everyday conversations, in the books we read, in the songs we listen to.
It's even in the way we think and process the world. So even if you're just starting out, you already have a wealth of linguistic data at your fingertips.
That's a great point. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, to experiment, to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow, right?
Absolutely. Embrace those aha moments, even if they come after a few stumbles along the way. And remember, the world needs linguists.
That's right. We need people who can bridge cultures, who can help us understand each other better, who can unlock the secrets of language and use that knowledge to make the world a more connected and informed place. This has been such a fascinating conversation, and I honestly feel like I've learned so much. I hope our listeners are feeling inspired and maybe even a little bit more curious about the power of language. So, for anyone out there who's ready to embark on their own linguistic adventure, what's one final piece of advice you'd leave them with?
I'd say pay attention. Pay attention to the way people use language, the nuances of different dialects, the evolution of slang. The more you observe, the more you'll start to see the patterns, the intricacies, the sheer beauty of this thing we call language.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of linguistics. It's been an absolute pleasure picking your brain. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep celebrating the power of language.